It's the Rapid Capture Podcast.
So welcome to episode 8 of the Rapid Capture Podcast. We are in Las Vegas, Nevada for CES 2023 with a few special guests.
Special guests everywhere. Look, Ben looks well happy to be here.
Oh, this is amazing. I'm enjoying myself already.
Quick flick round to Ben with a 360 camera. We need to explain the setup. We've got a 360 camera in the middle of the room filming the whole table to make Ty's job hopefully less stressful in the edit.
Well, and the fact that we haven't got more than one camera and a couple of GoPros. So
we could have all used our mobile phones, but we decided to switch to a 360 camera, filming the whole thing, with 2 mics doing the feed.
Yeah, so we'll see how this all goes.
So that was a Ben Hermer guest, CTO at Rivr.
It's true.
Special guest.
Special guest.
Remember
Do
that.
quick introductions like that then. Ben Hermer, CTO. Introduction from this man over here.
Oliver Stewart.
What do you do?
Virtual reality assistant at Rivr.
And finally making his first appearance other than being on a inflatable in a pool.
Or mainly dressed in a suit.
Yeah.
His normally first appearance is with a suit on in some sort of place in the world.
And then we haven't got a very special guest. No, sorry.
Then there's another guest.
Joe Harvey, Operations Director at Rivr / AR,
Slacker. No joke.
AR Historical Interpretation Specialist.
God. Just you get
I
your
wanna
mind how you write that.
I really want to see your business card with all that on.
Yeah.
Did ChatGPT write that for you?
Says I want to sound important on the podcast. And I came back.
Chat GPT isn't working today because it's too busy working on all your stuff, Alex.
Sure.
It better start working soon. We've got the article to do.
I've been using it today. It's
This
been
whole
working
podcast
fine.
should be the story of how ChatGPT has basically documented our trip for us.
Yeah, it should.
No,
We
we
should
can't
do a bit
give away
on
all our secrets, Ben. Don't give away all the
I
secrets.
think we all know.
I think the world gave it away.
Yeah.
It's all got out there now.
Why don't you just quickly tell us what chat is? We call it chat because it's easier than doing the LBGT bit.
We've shown it already, have we?
Yeah, it's called chat.
Well, that's exactly what it is, isn't it? It's a chat with a machine.
What do you think about chat for the business?
For this business? Or
Well, you could
business
do
in
this
general?
business specifically if you want to.
Do
for
with
life.
Do
rights
both. Do the two ends of the spectrum. How we can help us.
So
and
how
how-
useful it is for the next 3 years until we're all unemployed?
Yes.
Well, I think it's going to be very useful for the next 3 years.
Yeah. What does it do?
It's just a natural language AI
Mm-hmm.
that has read 1.79 billion web pages and has basically consumed the internet. And then I think for the last year they've been teaching it to not be a Nazi.
Oh my
That was
God.
the last time they released one.
Sounds like it could go wrong.
Yeah, so a lot of human kind of interaction, like ask you questions, it comes back and says something rude, so you say no, it's something clever. I think it'll be good. It's going to be weird over the next 6 to 12 months because it is authoritatively right as much as it is wrong, but you can't really tell the difference. Because every fact it presents you is presented in the same tone as if it is kind of correct.
A bit like when you ask Google something, you just presume some of those answers
a
are
bit like
correct.
that. Exactly, but you could ask it if the world is flat, and if it so happens to have read articles around that, then it could probably give you a convincing reason why you should believe it is. But in the same breath, you could then ask it about how the horizon works and the curvature of the Earth, and it'd probably give you an authoritative answer from that. So it's not intelligent.
When you say about it reading, it's been read, it's been fed a load of internet pages. Is that up to a certain date? It's not continuous. It's not happening now. It's not completely reading forever.
My knowledge on it is basically reading one paragraph and then working out how I would have done it.
So a bit like chat then as well. Your brain's a bit like that. Reads one bit and then changes it.
I think my
into
brain's like most developers, it's Stack Overflow for 70% of the time and 5% contribution from me. So actually my life won't change very much with ChatGPT or chat as we're now going to call it.
Well, your career at the moment, but you can imagine if you're a young coder starting out.
Then you may as well not bother. Like, honestly, I do believe that plumbers are still needed.
But you don't think that coders are, if you can just talk to this chatbot?
Well, I've always believed this. I mean, since my first foray into smartphone programming back in, God knows what, 2009, I can remember sitting there thinking, this would be so much easier if I could just describe to a machine what I wanted. I would like a green background with a search box on the front. I want to search on that. I want a database that contains all the cars in the world.
And now you're saying you can do that.
To say to it, like, blah, 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 or whatever. And it would just at least create me the framework of that code. It's always seemed like something it should be able to do. It now kind of can do, like boilerplate.
As long as it knows the language.
This is the strange thing, and it doesn't really even know the language. It's basically just gone out and read all the code.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
And to bring it back to what we've been using it for, Ollie, what have you been using chat for?
So our daily articles about CES and just the general trip.
Yeah.
And it'll also be used for the overall CES article on the website and also on Alex Harvey's LinkedIn.
Tell us exactly how you're doing it though. You're feeding random bits of data into it.
Yeah, so I'm feeding in my very bad English into it. And it's
Okay.
picking stuff out. It seems to have learned a lot about CES over the past week. So since the first article to now, it's learned more. Yeah, it's...
So you can now ask it things like, what were the top 3 highlights in the VR space?
Yes.
And it would give you an answer.
well,
A short paragraph, and then it will elaborate, turn it into a massive paragraph.
based on what you've told it, or the fact that it's probably still reading CES, which one is your suspicion?
We don't...
Probably from what I've told it and also what it's still...
Ollie thinks it's live updating, but I don't know.
It must be getting data.
It's got to be out of control by now. I'm sure it's reached consciousness and is consuming
But
as much information as it can.
we found, didn't we, that it's not taking stuff that you've inputted into it and using it on his...
We did a live thing where he was trying to ask how many directors were at Rivr. I'd already entered that data into my database and it hadn't fed through to him.
But we were going to try it again later in a couple of days to see if it does.
It must be doing something with receiving data from what someone's put in. So if I put in more information about CES, it must be using that information.
It used it for you, but I think it uses it locally. I don't think it gives it to me over the web.
I wonder if it will use it
It's
off...
an AI, it learns.
I wonder if it will use stuff once it's on the web rather than within your chat account. Like it might...
It's not connected to the web.
Yeah,
right,
doesn't
right,
include
okay.
stuff
And it's
up.
only up to date from the end of 2021, from the last time I read it. So
Yeah, that's
it may
all
be that as you're going through, if you leave your account open and you're continually feeding it, it might just give you back the knowledge you've already given it.
That's what it's doing. That's what I think it's
but
going to
it
do.
won't take other people's stuff.
So
I
when
don't
you
know.
say it's read so many billion websites, is
Up
that...
until a
I
date.
don't know. I mean, I really don't know much about it other than the highlights of when it was released. So yeah, I mean, I would imagine. I don't. Yeah, that's not an area.
I had not
Ollie's
heard
probably
of it
checking that.
until 48 hours ago. I typed in one short sentence and I started to read it back as it was generating it, and I was blown away. But at the same time, it is a bit like, you know, if everyone's using it, like Ben, I can't remember how you worded it, Ben, but it's
imagine it was sort of-
the end of intelligent civilization.
It's like horse riding, and we talk about electric
Yeah,
car.
I mean, it's like
You'll do it for fucking. You'll do it for prosperity.
The thing is, when
I might think about things like on my own for a bit instead of having 10 AI doing it for
Well,
me.
I would imagine you'll end up paying a fucking horrendous amount of money for some art because a human being did it badly.
There's a thing that keeps going around on LinkedIn constantly at the moment about people putting, the red, like, no to AI art thing. They're really like, it's becoming a bit dystopian, isn't it? Really,
I
now,
wonder
when you
if
see
you
stuff
can-
like that.
I wonder if you can get it to do poems or songs.
You can, yeah.
You
absolutely.
can.
But again, at the moment, it's like, I don't think that chat, as we're now calling it, is going to be like the be all and end all. But it just shows you the way that humans want to make an AI and what they want it to do. It's more, to me, it more reflects on what the human race want AI to do than what AIs can do. It's more that already, like, we're leaning towards either having an AI help us sell crap to each other, or to take away the mundane skills that obviously the developers of it think are relevant. Whether art is mundane is kind of what they're arguing about with the crosses. Like, is it really art if it's...
They say it has limitations, including the fact that, like you said, the data is only up until the end of 2021.
But, philosophically, if you take a picture of a beautiful landscape, is the landscape the art or the picture? Because, at the end of the day, it's describing a beautiful thing, but it's not a philosophy podcast, anyways, but
Yeah.
that will be the questions that humans have to answer over the next decade as these things get ironed out.
And, it was perfect when it first launched for me because I didn't really know what to say as a goodbye message to one of our previous employees. So I added that to the card.
Oh,
ChatGPT helped me.
I helped you write a
A
card.
sincere goodbye.
That's cool.
No, I did customise it, but it really sort of helped. Sorry, Kat, if you're watching this, probably not, but she had to write it all out in the card.
Okay,
you know how long it likes to waffle? And then you go, please make it shorter. Just type that in. So, but yeah, we've digressed a little bit away.
You've been doing a lot of leaving cards.
From our sort of schedule rundown. So
We digressed into chat.
Yeah, we've all attended a show, quite a small one, called CES. It's now concluded. It's Sunday. We've all gone and seen what is classified as future tech for consumers moving forward, and I'm sure more than just consumers. And we want to kind of hit some of the CES XR news shortly. But before we do, I just want to ask Alex, what have you scanned, and have you had any social hits?
What have I scanned? I was going to do the scanning bit first because that's probably quite easy to do because we're not on a big screen this week. Basically 4 scans. I guess you can look at my screen, can't you?
Yeah, we can have a look at the screen.
We won't go into all of them, but we went to shoot some guns, so I scanned a Humvee. That was 250 photos. All on Sketchfab now for sale, obviously. A little water hydrant in the garden.
Of which Rivr gets 100%.
Don't tell Ben that the money goes into Alex Harvey's coffee fund. Up here at the top is a nice bagel from Bagel Mania in Vegas, and then some rabbits inside the Wynn Hotel.
The Wynn Hotel.
All for sale, but actually something sold the other day.
You actually sold something. Blimey.
What was
It
it?
was
the
in
other
got
the
three of
Wynn
the-
Hotel.
We've
Rabbit
got 3 of the guests.
Oh, no, yeah.
Comment other than me for a change.
No, when we went and stayed in the Venetian, me and you, for Canon, I scanned a sofa outside my hotel room. That sold for $20 while we were in Venetian,
Blimey.
which is a bit weird.
That is
So
random.
yeah, and then the only other hitter on TikTok at the moment is the DeLorean video that's now at 100,000 views.
But we can talk about the DeLorean, the main part of the podcast, because we are going to switch over to CES XR news. We've got 4 bits of news. Starting off with, all 5 of us were invited to a HTC Vive launch event for their brand new VR headset, which was the Vive XR Elite. It's a new 6-DoF headset, and it's supposed to compete with Meta Quest Pro. So,
You said supposed to.
well, it isn't released yet. So until it's released actually to people who want to buy it, then we'll find out whether it actually did do a dent in Meta's hopes of domination.
They definitely dominated the hotels. What did you think to the Vive? What did you think to the Vive headset? Is that what we're going to talk about now?
Yeah,
Yes.
well, that's the first part of it. So yeah, talking about the headset, talking about the fact
XR
that we
Elite.
went to their private demo space. It wasn't actually on the CES show floor, and it was really interesting to sort of have a look at something that we kind of knew in previous podcasts. We knew it was coming.
You knew it was coming from when we went to Slough. When
Yeah.
we saw the flow in Slough. You were like, this is just the baby one. The other one's coming out soon.
I know.
Like, okay.
But we'd also had some leaked images, didn't we, of it? So we had a good idea of what it
When
might
you
look
asked them
like.
in Slough, though, they were very much like, no, don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, they've been like that since, to the point where we got to the actual show, and then we knew it was the same one that we've been talking about for weeks. So, yeah, go on then.
And well, the Flow headset before that didn't have the battery pack on it, and it wasn't 6-DoF properly. It was a bit sort of fakey 3-DoF a little bit. So now I had to go. It feels all right, but it doesn't feel like build quality of Quest Pro. What's the price of this Vive?
So it's going to start at $1,099.
Okay,
There's
so
no UK price. that I can
Definitely
find
cheaper.
yet.
Definitely cheaper than the
It's
Quest
cheaper.
Pro. Though.
Has colour pass through,
We tried it. The
Has-
colour pass through has
has
3D
ste-
colour pass through,
stereo colour pass through as well.
which the Pico 4 has not got.
No, and also has a bit of a modular thing, isn't it? Because you take the battery bank off the back, that's basically it's counterbalanced, but
Don't
you've
you?
also got
Oh,
the
yeah.
ability to make it like Flow, with like the side arms to make them like glasses
which
as well.
I couldn't get an answer as to why that was a good idea.
Yeah, and it would be
Airplane
interesting.
In any way,
maybe.
shape, form, 'cause I
It would be
worked
interesting to know in the future why they decided to go that way, other than if they're going to just stop
I mean,
Flow.
I'm not,
maybe.
I don't think I'm incorrect in saying that computers at the front. You're not removing the compute unit, you're just removing the battery. When you do
Yeah.
that, which unbalances the headset, and you then put the battery in your pocket.
Yeah,
you do.
yeah,
You
yeah.
said
Swap
to-
it
you
for
said to
another
me, if you want to disconnect it, you get some slightly longer arms that attach onto
Yeah.
it to grip your head more.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you put a battery.
I
in
can't
your
think of
pocket.
a more convenient place to put the battery than the back of my head, though. So it'd be interesting to see what their use case for it
I
is.
can imagine it being good, like you're sat at your desk at work and you're using it.
Right, you're using
so
it
you can
for-
mains power, but you could mains power it instead. So if you use it for long periods of time.
You could
PC
make that.
attached. That might be all right.
Yeah, or PC attached. Cause
PC attached with no battery pack, just straight into
USB-C.
quite light then.
The one other thing I was going to say about it, which has completely like slipped my mind, is that we were saying that we obviously saw another headset that was similar, not a VR headset though, was it? It was an AR headset, but that was purely powered by a phone, but it probably doesn't have half the cameras that need to be powered, so it's not going to be quite the same.
Less power consumption, so it can power phones, battery.
Yeah,
Whereas obviously the Vive needs power, it's got its own computer unit.
yeah.
I think I probably missed. Is it standalone, or I know it was tethered to a PC in a lot of those demos in the Win, but can it be used standalone as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is. It's classified as a standalone 6-DoF headset,
Yeah.
and it has the controllers as well. So it could do stuff with hand tracking. They say.
Yeah, I was using it with hand tracking
Yeah.
with the
But
the drawing bit.
but the controllers are basically the same as the Focus 3.
Focus 3, yeah.
Yeah, so it has got controllers, so you can do it with controllers, and then you can PCVR it. Ben having a go on the kayak experience.
I did. I had to go on all of the experiences.
But that was attached to a PC.
That was my most positive experience of it, to be fair.
Attached to a PC?
To a PC,
But it does show it's like the display's quality. It's fun.
Yeah, well, except for the fact my brain didn't think it was tethered to a PC, so it was good quality. I mean, is it Valve Index? No, not even slightly comparable. The actual hand acquisition was amazing, but the actual tracking of the hand, though albeit accurate, was quite delayed.
I suppose in some ways that I have had a go on a Vive Pro on that kayak game, and it is a quite good game fidelity wise. Like, I think you said something like there would be elements of it that might have been PG, maybe even. In
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, it was a great game. It's a great game. The fact you put a paddle in the water and it will slow you down, amazing. But I wasn't that impressed when I realised it was tethering from a PC, because a Quest 2 is as good as that. You know, if not some ways better, because it's a little bit more comfortable to it.
Maybe some of the dev guys that are using the Vive Pro at the moment with lighthouses was beneficial. If you could tether it into a PC and have a lightweight 6-DoF dev checker.
Just use a proper Vive.
There you go. So I'm asking you, would you rather do that?
Like the Knuckles controllers, for instance, like the Valve Index Knuckle controllers are amazing. If I was going to go for any sort of tethered thing, that's probably where I'd be going. The middle ground of price and quality. Of course, these are the VR engineer type headsets and all the rest of them, which up the quality again, but the price goes up a slope that doesn't match the quality in any way. You know, the Index is probably where I'd want to be for a tethered experience. I don't know. I think it's really cool that you can tether a headset that you buy for standalone and get more variety than what you're offered in the App Store. You get the freedom of PC gaming in a closed system, which is amazing. But I don't think I'd ever buy one based on that as a selling point, or try to offer it to a customer based on that as a...
I think it's a really good thing to have if you can get rid of those sensors for any install.
What, the...
Yeah, the Vive in the office, like the dev team, they've got Vive trackers just to have Vive Pro headset.
That's what I was about to say. I'm thinking, like, is it just going to be a case that they just start to discontinue that maybe down the line? Like, I know that it's about resolution and the panels inside it, but the reality is...
When was the last time you saw a 7.1 surround sound system?
Yeah,
Even
exactly.
though they are
Dead in the water.
superior to soundbars in every single
of course.
They're just not here anymore. Nobody wants to hassle of setting the bloody wires up.
No.
Give me the quick option.
Cool.
And I think we just take for granted now that every headset that comes out must have good inside-out tracking. Must have it. Otherwise, it's not a competitor. It doesn't have any place in this market anymore.
Yeah. Bye-bye lighthouses.
So I am going to shift this on, only for time reasons. So.
We're not going to talk about the awkward situation that occurred at the end of our
Well,
visit to the Vive.
he can if he wants to.
We better clear up a little bit, because when we went to Slough HTC, they released that, they gave us that Flow headset. So when we left, they gave us a goodie bag as well, and I made a mock piss take video that they gave us saying that they gave us a Flow inside the bag. So
Elite.
when we turned up, when we turned up to the Vive thing in Vegas, the guy was like, and what was his name, John?
Oh yeah. So you Flo back at home, but then this situation was John.
Yeah. John was like, "Oh, you're going to make another video?" Because he had a load of people asking him for free headsets and why they didn't get a headset in their goodie bag.
Yeah.
So we started to we asked him if we could make another video along the same
Didn't he
lines.
suggest it?
No, he made the comment of saying that video you made back at home, saying you got a Flo in your goodie bag.
Yeah.
We had complaints, or we had people calling in.
Which is funny. So we did it again with the XR Elite.
Yeah.
But on the way out, someone tried to stop me, legitimately saying that we were stealing the headset. So there's a nice little video that is not going to be on this, but you can go and watch it on YouTube and TikTok.
Anyway, Vive were a good bunch, and they were happy for us to post it.
Yeah, of course.
As long as
That
we
was the
said
point.
at the end that it was just a joke.
Yeah, the caveat was that make sure that people don't think it was legitimate. Although to be fair, we made it obvious at the end by saying it looked like Alex had stolen it.
And the good thing with that visit as well is that they are keen to work with us. Alex highlighted a few things for the relationship in the past. We wanted to work with you more. It hasn't quite panned out, and we were almost going to work with them here in Vegas. But anyway, hopefully going forward, they are keen to show some high-end photorealistic content, which obviously Rivr can provide.
We've been doing it for 4 years on their headset, and we've never done a case study with them. So that's surely got to be the next thing. And then Nathan can sort out some stuff.
And definitely with the price point, they are sitting lower than Quest Pro. We'll see how that happens when they actually eventually launch it and see who buys it. It's going to be an enterprise headset anyway, so it's going to be.
I don't know if that's true, because I was talking to, I can't remember, is it Darius or something like that, the one who was doing the social space demo to me.
Dario.
There is absolutely no doubt in my mind he was not talking about this as an enterprise.
Well, no, but they will. It's the same with Quest
there'll be an
Pro, isn't it?
enterprise
I can go and buy a Quest Pro from Argos. It's not really going to be. They wouldn't have the game store on there if it was going to be purely enterprise. But they all like to say it. It's just one of those things, isn't it? It's like, this is our best headset.
I agree, but I mean the point I'm making, I think, is that he was very much enterprise second. He was like, when I was saying, that we don't really have a use for this because we are enterprise first. What's your enterprise program look like? And he's like, well, yeah, down the road we're going to bring out an enterprise program for you, be able to manage it centrally from a server, blah blah blah. It just felt like that's the bit I really want to see, is a commitment to them on how we would distribute VR on it as a business. Oh, they'll get there. I mean, without a doubt. But we're at CES, I guess, as well, aren't we? So the presentation for the headset is the wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, I look forward to programming something on it.
Cool.
Development on it.
All right.
Maybe some AR history stuff.
Yeah. So I'm just going to move on then. So the next one was about the Sonium VR1.
Somnium Space.
Somnium, that's the one. And their collaboration with VR engineers on a new headset.
Did you get to try it?
Interesting.
Someone get to try it?
Well, no, they had like a prototype inside the box.
Oh, you couldn't even get it on your head?
You could see it in a case, but you couldn't get it on your head.
Did you say you put your eyes through into a box?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had the headset one side and then cameras the other side. It was mainly to show the functionality of the cameras and
Pass
through, yeah, showing you pass through. And
very good quality.
you saw some VR, but as soon as you got close to it, then it sort of disappeared into pass through. So it was a weird. I don't really understand
Good quality,
the experience, but yeah, the guy sort of sat and talked to us about it, saying that that they're making progress with it, but they were told they weren't allowed to have an actual working unit there, which makes me sceptical that it's not really ready. But pass-through was really good. Probably actually the best pass-through that I saw, if it's going to be a standalone headset, compared to something that's comparable, I'd say, to Vario's. So
for it to be standalone?
I think so. Standalone, and then it can do PCVR as well.
Okay,
So,
that's
okay, so the next one was that there was loads of AR glasses on show. It was obviously quite a big thing this year across the whole of CES this year, and TCL brought out one that was called the Ray Neo X2, which looked very much like oversized glasses. They were pretty massive, I won't lie, but it used waveguides to project micro LED displays.
Is this the one that locked to the front of my face?
No demos are available other than to journalists, which was a bit frustrating, but they're saying that that's the way they would prefer to go down the AR route as opposed to the things you've had to go on in the past.
What, locking it in front of your face?
Well, no one got to, no,
Do you remember when
none
you
of us got
wear
to
those-
see it, which is
when-
frustrating.
When
because I
you wear
wanted
one of
to.
those sleep bands over your head and you have your phone dangling in front of your head like that. That's what those headsets are doing. They're not locking the thing to anything.
Bit like those ones that we saw in Eureka.
All
these
of the
ones here.
all of the AR glasses that I tried, it was awesome to see the good quality of the image inside them. But all of the videos, the promo videos that were on display behind the people demoing the glasses were so misleading, and they would show the screen like on their coffee table, locked over there, and they'd be playing around with the Xbox controller.
So,
But they
moves in
show
your
it.
head.
They show it anchored,
Yeah.
it's got inside-out tracking.
yeah.
But when you put it on, it's there like this.
Yeah, locked to your head.
I
Like
think,
an on-screen
which is-
display.
Yeah. It's like a broken Pico.
Just
Yeah.
Broken
it's
3D
just a
headset.
screen.
It's frustrating, but at the same time, it's good to see that loads of people are working on the stuff that a lot of people want. That's what I
It seems
want.
like it's easy to put some text on your face, but it's not very easy to keep it locked to something in that world.
I
You need more
suppose
text.
it's going to be really dependent on what the content is that they're going to be putting on it. If you're going to need some sort of augmented directions, it needs to lock onto the way it's going.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not locking. It's not AR.
Yeah.
They are just
On-screen display.
Just
Yeah, just
glasses
headset
with the
display, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whereas
saying their AR is false advertising of the industry.
But with that said, it would be cool to sit on your sofa with a pair of glasses on and just have a massive monitor
but
It should be called
but it's
augmented
not.
hood.
they have weirdly existed for years in different guises, haven't they? I've got a massive screen that I could put. Sony did one, didn't they, years ago?
I've got a Carl Zeiss pair at home.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But
And that's
they're
the thing.
finding ways to compact it more
Yeah, of
and
course.
to different ways of projecting it.
But we're saying it's
onto
not AR.
those
It's a weird
lenses.
market for them, though, isn't it? Because obviously, if you put the inside-out tracking into it, you bump the cost up massively. You need a much better processor.
Yeah,
blah,
it
blah,
goes
blah.
up a lot.
So for me, it feels like a niche that who's going to use it? Potentially driving simulators, but they're better in VR. We know that. So I don't know who it's for. Like their big thrust was about being able to play your Steam Deck.
Yeah. 2D content on the screen.
Yeah.
I think it's about
It's gonna lock to your face.
development of how to project that image onto the lenses, whether that's down like this or there was one that we saw that was projecting it through into the glass somehow.
I mean,
The only ones that I saw that were locked that Ollie saw was the Lenovo ones.
yes, and they were.
So
very good.
it had
Well, they were locking things onto
like
the
a
wall.
heart, and it was locked in the space. So as I turned my head, it disappeared because it was
But
locked
so
over
there
here.
must have
it
been
was only
some
3
cameras
DOF
on.
locks though. It wasn't 6 DOF locks.
No.
You could walk around
Oh,
it.
alright.
There's
No,
back
no.
there.
Yeah, so you're using gaze on it
Yeah.
to be able to.
Yeah, I
open up
tried
stuff.
one of those. I don't think it was that one though.
No,
Yeah.
The Lenovo one was only in their Lenovo space.
Yeah, so that was interesting from that standpoint. And then, did you ever go on Magic Leap or not in the end?
No, the queue
Well,
was.
I didn't
They
try
had,
though,
they
yeah.
had 360 people in the queue when I went at about 2 p.m. yesterday, so it wasn't even worth.
I haven't read any like user reviews of it yet, so I don't know how good it was. I mean,
Well, the thing that caught my eye is there was they had about 6 different areas, and on one of the areas they had a big grey model that looked like some sort of office building, just shaped basically, and then they were
That's what we saw in Florida.
the guy.
Yeah.
The guy was saying that it was using LiDAR or something to work out where the real world model was, and it was using that to project the digital model onto,
Me and Toyo
which I
go.
don't know what it was
In
because I didn't
Florida.
have it on
I mean, I
my-
definitely, like, based just on their literature and their demos they were doing, get the feeling that they are really pushing now towards like engineers helping engineers.
Yeah, but it's like HoloLens were doing 2 years ago.
Yeah,
what
well,
it feels
Magic
like.
Leap, its start wasn't really doing.
They were doing whales in
Yeah,
gymnasiums.
exactly. They were promising lifelike dreams.
Yeah.
And now, what they were showing was an engineer over the virtual shoulder of another engineer drawing a circle around a pipe.
Back in time.
Which, not saying that's not a good idea, but certainly the the excitement around Magic Leap is different now, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
When we visited them back in, I don't know, 3 years ago, they were still very much Secret Squirrel going to change the world with stuff.
Have
They showed gaming and stuff.
have they been bought by anyone or
I
what?
don't think it needs to. They've had so much investment, haven't they?
Who's this Magic League?
Yeah.
They've just had a load of Saudi money.
Yeah, they've
Oh,
got
really?
Just a
loads.
load of Saudi investment.
But I had to go on the IITSEC demo with Ty when we had big guns and trackers and all that, and it was not impressive at all.
It seems to be a trend that
Your thing
they're
was more
all-
impressive on the Quest Pro.
It seems to be a trend that they'll all develop this stuff, whether it's with money from outside or not, and then hope to be bought by someone like Meta or.
Yeah, it's weird. They have had so much money
Yeah, from the start it was
from
billions.
the start. Yeah, everybody. I
The
mean,
Ronnie, the guy, no?
I mean, they've had so much money, and being first is not always good, is it? Because I saw quite a lot of cheap Chinese demos.
Yeah,
Glasses that were
loads.
actually really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw one set of glasses that were polarising about a tenth of a second from clear over the top to black, like properly black, like work better than your sunglasses.
They'll be owned by ByteDance in a few months. Probably.
Whereas I think I was joking to you that it wouldn't surprise me if some of these big boys walk around CES and buy up a few of these small Chinese manufacturers who've done it so much better than them on their own
Yeah.
in isolation over here with probably a tenth of the money.
Yeah.
I was thinking of slightly the other way around, where I'm thinking that there are some of them that are manufacturing them on their behalf, paying them a load of money, and then they come to this show and sit on the peripheries and shelf all the other stuff they do on top of that. Which is
It could also very well be that. But I mean, for me, a set of AR glasses needs to polarize to black immediately and have really, really good.
And you say that so that when you can go to black, you can go to anything, you can go to frame by frame, you can have
No, I
content
actually
in
don't
it.
say that. I say that so that you can lock out where it's colour. So, imagine if there's a person dancing in front of you in AR and you've got a layered display, so you've got your transparent LCD or
You can see the world around you.
You can they're still slightly translucent. If you've got someone to polarize or at least control that layer, I don't even know if it's technically possible, but if you can basically silhouette that, you get absolutely no light leakage on the part you're looking at. And also just the idea of being able to switch to VR, switch back, switch to VR, switch back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
no,
it could be full
but
lockout.
without it being a full VR headset, you're like you with
It's like
the.
one of those guys from the 80s.
Yeah, we've seen with the Quest Pro that you don't need to have that full visor thing on the side to be that bothered about being in.
Yeah.
It works okay seeing that stuff around.
But
If you're doing
but-
AR,
But yeah, if you're doing AR, they want you to have that scale in your peripheries, don't you? And that's the one thing that's good about the Pro is that you can see your hands go into it. It's to scale. I think the only comparison I can say really, because I haven't done it on anything else other than that, was the Lynx, and that was quite a good headset that was to scale, but obviously a different thing completely because it's not a VR headset.
and mixed reality. Then you're going to talk about the Canon stuff.
Well, this
in the
is
room.
later. We'll talk about that in a
The
minute.
elephant
So,
in the room.
yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. But we'll move on to the last.
He's dodging the subject.
No.
He's opening the back. He's going to die.
He's saving it.
I'm saving it for the main bit, so don't you worry. But lastly, very small little tidbit that I saw that I didn't know existed. Ollie claimed to say he did see it existed. That Razer have made some Quest 2 accessories. They've made some new
did,
head
yeah,
straps
I saw those,
and some interfaces, which is quite interesting. So supporting Quest 2, which means they probably will go to the next Quest as well.
Yeah,
Thinking about that for
Was
the
a lot of
future
extra
too.
power.
I don't know. They just had a couple of head straps that were on their stand.
I think it's a good sign when it happens. It means that they are looking at the idea that there's going to be mass adoption. There's money to be made.
100%, yeah,
That's
definitely.
a healthy thing for our industry.
Yeah,
It was
really-
mainly, I think, for the headphone functionality and better headphones on it. But I know Logitech does something very similar. They've got their own
I saw a lot of the Chinese peripheral companies as well. I think,
Yeah.
look, there's a load of headsets over there, and I go over and they're all the same headset with different types of straps.
Cool. Okay, so really just to sort of round up our week of being in Las Vegas, we're sort of going to be able to sort of talk pretty freely amongst ourselves about everything else because the main reason of XR News is to talk about more about that stuff. This is now more about this week in general. What do we see? What was good? What was not good? What was really not good? And then any other things that you might have seen that we haven't mentioned from the news. I obviously want to talk a little bit about Canon had a mixed reality headset, but Alex wants to talk about more the experience he had on their stand and anything else that you saw.
Yeah,
so
just the general feel of what we think CS is like. I mean,
Yeah.
I have some quite strong opinions on how I feel the industry is shifting at CES based on where we've come here before. before.
Tell us about that then, and how many times you've been before.
I think I've been 5 times now. We didn't really. Of course, we saw a couple of new VR headsets, but that didn't. They almost felt peripheral to what was really going on. Like the headsets are starting to feel like cookie cutters, aren't they? They've all got the same chip in them. They've all got probably the same kind of screen in them. They're roughly the same shape. If you can get the pancake lens, it's great. It doesn't really matter who's making it at this point. But there was a lot of software. Whereas an electronic show is not really how I think about the electronic show, but I saw a ton of VR software. Software as a service, software as a piece of fun, a lot of metaverses. I mean, what on earth is going on with that?
There's every Central Viveverse.
I know. Yeah. Probably like the multi-dimensional verse, really, because probably have one. I don't know, but
it's going to be funny to see that develop over the years. The name of that.
It is, and in some ways, Meta have really caused themselves a problem because now everybody's got a metaverse. I mean, it literally was a term I saw over and over and over and over again all the way through.
Well, they'll probably all be able to exist in Meta's version of the metaverse, won't they?
Yeah, but that's only the same as being on Facebook.
No, they were all trying to make that. Like they were all trying to do a land grab for subscribers. We all now know how this works, right? You create a freemium product with short content on it, and you get as many as you can in it and monetize it in 3 years' time. That's what, and I saw a lot of community-based HTC trying to do one. They I can't remember what that was called. That's what I'm struggling with. But they're trying to create one. There's all these independents trying to create one. We went to an evening with some very interesting people who are successfully creating one with 360 video. It seems to be community-driven.
Yeah, like little brands.
Yeah, there you go, DOVR. Nice people. But that was my kind of takeaway from it, is that AR was the hardware queen of CES, and VR was not necessarily the hardware queen.
I'd say the other side to that was probably cloud gaming. Handheld consoles were rife everywhere as well. But when it comes to AR being the thing that sort of like floated everyone's big booths.
I didn't see the prototype VR. I saw like existing VR companies iterating on their designs and showing you the latest one, whereas I saw a ton of innovative, brand new, probably never going to make a penny AR companies. And that's what I love about CS, is those sort of companies. See what's going on. Because they're usually the imaginations of the next generation of products we're going to get.
And also, like, from maybe like a hand tracking standpoint for some of these VR headsets or companies that are making hand tracking stuff, unlike when we were at IITSEC, where you've got some company that's got a huge backpack and loads of cables and everything, from that to something like Ultraleap, it's like night and day. That's definitely more consumer friendly than something like that, and definitely not as expensive.
The Ultraleap hand tracking was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was very good.
As expected.
Yeah,
good.
What they did.
That's
it was
good.
Phenomenal. Like, it was absolutely on the tip of my finger.
Cool. And built into the cameras now on that Lynx thing. It's like
They were doing
software
two
thing.
things. So they'd stuck their hardware on the front of a Pico.
Okay. And
which was cool. That worked. And then they'd got the partnership with Lynxar, which I don't like as a headset. But it's personal choice, I think. I don't like their lens choice at all. You feel like you're looking through a prism.
they're a weird little market, those mixed reality headsets, because Canon did similar and Lynx similar. Looks like this little halfway house between proper VR, like a Vive or an Oculus.
Yeah.
I think Canon's one that's been around in different model names.
Yeah, that was definitely not new, was it?
No, because they've got they had an S1, now they've got a M1 or X1 or whatever it is that.
Mreal.
It's very much Mreal is the name of the headset, but then they have their own like code next to it based on is it a new one or an old one, and they look exactly the same.
Yeah, and to explain to anyone who doesn't know what it is, you basically imagine a bar of soap with two holes you look through, two cameras on the back. Yeah, but they sit basically like over your face, but they're not even trying to be a headset. They are just like a display that hangs.
Yeah, it didn't.
You had the hanging version, so you had the better version. I had the you have to use your hands version.
No, you had that as well.
I did for the Canon one, but the Lynxar was almost no different from the Canon experience.
The difference with the Lynx was that I got a full field of view, but I didn't like the lenses the same as you. But the Canon one was just a rectangle. Like, even though it was like two lenses on your face, and it did have good pass through, the tracking wasn't that great, and the black areas around it just made it feel really terrible. And just to add, it was £15,000 and it was tethered.
Really? It's not 15 grand.
Not only was it tethered, it couldn't do more than 30 FPS with whatever monster PC they attached to it
Yeah.
to render out a grey model.
Well, no.
Yeah, grey model looked like something that you like start a block in Unity.
Yeah,
I don't know what they were doing. Even the tracking of their one thing that they had, terrible. And because they couldn't track a 2D plane, they had to put a box on top of it to track it in 3D space properly. That if that box became in front of your hand, it would cut a box out of your hand. Yet there's nothing there. You see,
Shocking. I'm sorry, I love Canon cameras. I love their lenses, and to be honest, that fisheye lens is great. It's been good since they released it.
Yeah.
There are a few things on their software side of it that they have actually just recently updated.
Fixed.
But overall, they're not in the game when
Well,
it
I
comes
think-
to really focusing on their metaverse.
They
Didn't
don't understand what they
GoPro
are.
make a drone that they sold to one person?
Yeah, and then they flopped, so
I
they
think
got
the
rid
camera
of it.
companies tried this stuff. I just don't think they should.
I get all your gripes about the headset that you have to
Hold in
the
your hand.
handset that you hold, but when you go to the Canon booth, you could choose between it mounted on the
Yeah,
headset.
Honestly, I don't have
Not
an
in my
opinion
experience.
about me having to hold it at all.
Say again?
I don't have an opinion that I have to hold it. I don't care about that. That's what I was saying earlier. If it just bars the soap, it doesn't matter that I was doing that
Well,
to hold it. It was the fact that it was terrible.
The reason why I went for the handheld one because I thought
You got old school.
for one of the sort of blockers for museums and things
Yeah.
like that is having to work out how to put this thing on your head and get sat down, all that. I thought it was quite perhaps a good way.
That's nice if you're just looking through an experience and you're going to just see something happen. If you're being asked to push a sofa like you were in the Canon experience, you should have your hands free.
Yeah.
But I had someone with a cable pulling me
It's
around.
a form factor decision that they all share. So the Lynx one could be unhooked from the headset too. Like I think that is what the design idea is these either can be something you should look into, like you're looking into a microscope, or that you can wear. But they don't. I mean, they don't. That's what I was saying before. They're not headsets. They are basically just a slam.
Yeah. I found it quite a nice. Looking at it, it's perhaps an in between a full VR headset and an easy small form factor pair of AR goggles.
Yeah, it's a
But
bit
I
more
think
powerful.
AR goggles will be a lot more developed by the time this centre ground of the Canon handset becomes anything that's worthwhile using.
Just a little bit of a side, but an interesting thing around the museum. So I saw quite a few transparent LED panels at this show. You know,
The thing that spins around.
No, not those hologram things. No, literally a computer.
Oh, yeah, I
sort of
know.
transparent.
Yeah.
So basically, the same thing that's in an AR headset, but large.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in an installation for a museum, would it not necessarily be better to have that doing the AR?
But it's tracking your movement here, so
There'd
Well,
be no
if you're
tracking.
saying that the selling point is the fact that you can hold it or look through it because
Yeah.
it's a fixed installation, and actually having a monitor that's transparent and you look through it and you see the building on fire.
Yeah, but you have to look through it at a certain angle.
yeah.
Well, no matter what angle you look through it.
Yeah, it
I
would.
mean that's
You'd
probably
be high or you'd be low.
that
and it wouldn't look like it's on the model.
It's because we're talking about the museum installations that we're doing and working on involve having something, a 3D model of something. If you had your 3D model of something there, and then you have your translucent display between
I guess
yourself.
I was thinking
and
about it more as like a viewing box than a.
Let's work as a window. The window would be
it
alright.
would be good, but we're trying to.
No, I
Overlay
I'm just saying
something
I'm not
onto
sure that argument justifies the nonsense that headset was.
Yeah,
I just
maybe
think
it's
they
a.
should go back to what they're really good at, which is making cameras, and they're really good at that.
Yeah.
Like, let the guys who are doing this from the ground up do it. Don't look in your bin and go like, what bits can we put together to make a headset?
The
That's what it feels like.
The other thing that Canon was showing was the Kokomo VR video calling.
Yeah, we've got a photogrammetry in it, that has. Saw it a year ago. Stunning bit.
I was the only one that did it, but I was there in the first half an hour of the show opening, and they were having technical difficulties. The first part of it.
This is a live streaming room scale VR experience.
Yeah, the first part of it, they were demonstrating. You go up to a row of iPhones, you open the app, and you scan your face 3 times. Once natural.
They did this
once smiling,
Yeah.
and then again sad. So he had to stand there in front of everyone watching,
Yeah.
going like this for about. It took about a minute per time. So you had to be there like this with everyone watching. It's terrible.
Saving your data or not?
And then you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, great, yeah, I'll go to the next area. I'll see what my scan looks like."
Yeah.
But you don't. They've just deleted the data there. It was purely just to demonstrate the process of what users would do
Okay.
in the future. I think it's releasing soon.
And then you put your head on a volumetric version of you.
Yeah, and then you go on to the next bit. You put on a Quest 2, and you have a video call with one of their colleagues who's back at the hotel room.
A live call.
And he's got a headset on it, and the AI is supposed to delete the headset off his head and replace it with the scan that he's done of his face.
And what happened?
But it wasn't working.
So what happened instead?
So I could see him stood there. He was a 2D plane,
Yeah.
and I could see his headset, but his face image was sort of roughly being projected onto the white of his Quest 2 that he was wearing,
So-
whereas it was...
Sounds
Again,
just
I
ready.
don't understand why, right?
No.
Because portrait mode on phones now can just about cut out any human from a background and replace the background with whatever you like. Wouldn't it just be easier to see that person as if they're a hologram inside a 3-dot headset and they actually look like they look?
I guess that was the plan. They were trying to get rid of his headset.
Maybe it's a metaverse thing, because you could choose different environments that you met up in.
You could have had them, like, I think they said in some of their preview content that you could have that person cut out into mixed reality in your room.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
with a
like-
pair of glasses, I get, but
Well, I
yeah,
think the good
it's a strange
takeaway
thing.
from it is, I know you said Canon stick to lenses or whatever, but I think the good takeaway is that big fucking multi-million
yeah, absolutely.
pound
They've got an
companies
interest in
are
it.
throwing money into it.
Yeah, and I'm not
You're not
against-
going to get it right every time, and as soon as someone cracks it, they're all going to jump on. As soon as someone cracks it and it gets adopted by multiple people, then other companies are going to jump
I mean,
on it.
that is a fair point, and yeah, I don't want to discourage the big boys from playing. Without a doubt, it just
They need to play properly, though. If they
just
start
need to make the
playing,
effort, yeah.
they can
Yeah.
undermine a medium
I
and
think
make it shite.
That's the problem, isn't it? Like, you know they're a big boy, you know they're really good at hardware, like amazing at hardware, and they're amazing at lenses, and they're amazing at photography, and you just feel a bit disappointed by it.
But as a side note, we've caught rumour swirling that Samsung might be coming back into the game, so maybe that's showing
Gear
that
VR2.
they're noticing that they exited, they brought it something in early, and they did okay
did
at
well
the
with the
beginning,
mobile
and then
phone.
they kind of sort of decided to fade away from it, and now they're realising actually everyone's jumping on it, so that'll be interesting. So anyway, I'm going to have to kind of like calm our AR mixed reality conversations, and I'm just going to go around the table and ask everyone in brief what their worst thing they saw at the show was.
Oh, that's an easy question.
It has to be brief. I'm sorry, I haven't got the time to give you the floor to speak. You've already had a little bit of I know where you're going, so
I can be really quick.
go for it then.
The worst thing I saw was the Canon headset tracking inside that box where I was pushing sofas around with a colleague while I had what felt like 17 Canon staff holding cables behind my head. It was horrendous.
In a cabin that costs more than your house.
Oh, definitely
in a
costs more than
stand
this room.
that their stand must have cost so much money. And I do want to say every time I speak to Canon at these places, I want to help you do better things. They just need to speak to us about what we think would be a cool VR mixed reality thing to do, and we can make it amazing.
Fair enough. Joe?
It was in the Eureka Park upstairs. It was a VR training provider who had teamed up with a company which made pads that go inside your headset and on your wrist. The pads could go really cold or quite hot.
Yeah.
The pads weren't
Is this
too
your best
bad.
or worst?
Worst.
Okay.
That's funny because let's get to the
Yeah.
best one on the next round. and
Yeah,
see what happens.
No, I'm not going on about the pads, although the pad in the head went so cold that it gave me a headache.
Brain freeze.
And it pulled the headset so far away from my head that I had so much light leak. But that's not the worst bit. It was just the training software that I used in that experience, which was just really terrible.
Oliver?
The worst thing for me is some of the AR glasses, how it's not, they don't track your head, they just sit there static, like we were saying earlier. It just means that they become kind of pointless. Why not just hold your phone right up in front of you?
Yeah, it's like a
You
hood.
can just move around with you. There's not really much need for AR glasses that do just hold the screen right in front of you.
They need to be a bit sick-stuffy.
Yeah. And also, I think they have obviously got a purpose. They'd be great for like
Having your Fitbit on your wrist.
Yeah, or accessibility and whatever. But for gaming wise, at the moment, if it's static, it's pointless for that. But obviously,
So if you're lying in bed and want to look at the TV above your
for
face.
example, let's say Google Maps, that'd be great on it because you don't want it to keep moving.
True.
You want it to stay static. If you
Yeah.
have Google Maps directions.
Things that don't need to be attached to the world, really.
Yeah.
Ben?
Unfortunately, mine really was the Canon experience. It really was. It was just a mixture of disappointment and.
I think it's that you expected more.
Exactly. I couldn't imagine that they would bring that CES at that level
Yeah.
with pride.
Bonkers.
Yeah, I mean,
Decision.
if they-
Who's making that decision?
If they brought us to one of their dev studios and said just have this a go, and they picked it up off the side, like I'd have a sensible, critical conversation with them about it and what they could do.
If they relaunch it at CES.
But to take it to CES and then put a couple of poor blokes in charge of it
Yeah.
who don't know how to justify the
Yeah,
product,
yeah.
I was disappointed by that.
Well, mine's not necessarily a product per se. I'm quite disappointed this year about the amount of different companies that decided that they would hide themselves away in different rooms, i.e. Meta for one. But
We heard a bit of the reason why.
Qualcomm were hidden away. There were other companies that we kind of walked around the win and saw that they were hidden away. And I think that, yes, if you are lucky enough to be a journalist, you probably get to go into all of them. And because of that fact, you'll probably get to have a go on a demo of some of the things that they hid away. I wanted to have a go on that TCL AR headset because it was different to others. There were a few in there that were using something that was on glass, again not tracked, but when you kind of big up something as being one of the key AR headsets of the show and you get to it and you see it stuck inside a little Perspex box and you can't do anything with it, that's the biggest takeaway for me in terms of disappointment.
But do you think that is a little bit, like we heard earlier, potentially to do with the cost? Maybe CES getting too expensive for these companies to have big presence on the floor. It's cheaper to have a load of rooms.
I think it's that, and it might also be the fact that the products are not as visually impressive now. Like you can't a Sony 128-inch 8K TV still makes a good photograph, but everybody knows what a VR headset looks like now. So a lot of these companies need to get people in it, and is it worth the money or however much those stands cost when you're basically.
They don't want to end up like Canon.
I think the other thing to say as well is that the potential is that they're not showing anything new. Like if they go to CES, everyone presumes they're going to bring the newest stuff that's not released or hasn't quite released yet. Whereas you can imagine what's Meta showing. They're showing all that they've got. They're not showing anything new. They're not going to show anything that's future, unlikely. So they're going to be just doing a bunch of Quest Pro demos and maybe showing off some
which
Facebook.
Are not electronics. I mean, maybe we're being unfair on CES. CES is about fridges and TVs. And,
Yeah, it's consumer stuff.
and it's a place for suppliers to meet each other and order 20,000 TVs for big box stores. So.
Yeah, so cool. Okay, so the other way round, maybe two of the coolest things that you saw, or something that you thought would be a really sort of viable thing in the future. Maybe, Alex.
Am I allowed to say which shows I've been to?
What do you
No,
mean?
you
No.
stick to CES.
Yes, unfortunately, you can stay in your lane.
Stay in my CES lane.
Yes.
I can't think of the best thing I saw. I'm gonna have to have
Was
a
it all
bit of a
too-
Did you
long
go to
think.
that show?
Maybe I'm just
We
always
went
too
to that
grumpy. Too grumpy that I don't remember something that was amazing.
Jump to me.
You've
and-
Joe to Joe, if
you've
he's
edited
got
a
one.
lot of content. I thought you'd remember in your
Go to
edits.
Joe, see if he's got
Go on
a
then, Joe.
favourite.
And let Alex have a
Mine
think.
isn't a specific one again, but it's seeing that lots of companies are trying to develop small form factor AR glasses. Didn't see anything small with inside out tracking as such, but that's where it will go. And for me, that's the best thing. See, because that's what I want to use. That's what I want to be able to deliver content that I'm working on.
Cool. Ollie?
So the first one is obviously Lenovo, with the amount of tech they brought to the show, especially their AR glasses, because they were the only ones that actually didn't move with your head. It locked stuff on, and it's also great to see all their...
Like your big folding pad, that's what you wanted.
16-inch screen that folded in half to become more portable, but also be a computer, which is really impressive.
Magnetic keyboard.
And the crease not being as bad as some of the smartphones that fold. And then the second one really would be just the general networking side of it and go to like DOVR.
Yeah.
So for me, the first one is the Chinese AR lens supplier that could instantly polarize from black to clear. I thought that was very clever. And the malleable Peltier devices that could instantly change your temperature from hot to cold based on voltage, which is the thing that Joe hated.
I hate the software.
But they're interesting because Peltiers generally are solid pieces of ceramic. These things can be wrapped into clothing, and you can apply a voltage to them, and depending which way they're flipped, they'll either give you a hot sensation or a cold sensation, but very, very quickly. So very quickly you could touch, in a pair of gloves, you could touch a piece of ice and your hand would go as cold as if you were touching a piece of ice like that. To the point where I took their card and I'm ordering some.
It was very impressive.
Cool. Mine too. Probably, obviously, I was made aware quite early doors there was a new type of DeLorean in the automotive section. Oh no, it doesn't matter because we have the same thing. But because I've got two, I won't elaborate, and I'll let somebody else elaborate on that because he found it first. I also came across Formlabs, who are a very established 3D printing company. They have done 3D printing for a lot of different companies. I know they've created 3D printed soles for New Balance in the past, which is really interesting, but obviously a lot of companies use them commercially to create stuff, whether it be for healthcare or whatever. But the thing that I came across, which I knew was happening, but I didn't know it was them that were doing it, were that they were collaborating with Hasbro, the toy brand, to make basically custom heads. You can scan your face into the Hasbro app, and then it will basically produce an order that will then go away, and within, I think it's like 45 days, they'll send you a custom character, whether it be a stormtrooper from Star Wars without the helmet on, or
with your head on it.
Yeah, or a Power Ranger or whatever, and it's your head. It's called the Selfie Series, and I picked myself to be an honorary Ghostbuster, and that's in the post, hopefully in the next 45 days.
What's this in your hand now?
This is like a little freebie thing that they were giving away. Joe managed to get a little 3D printed home, not scanned by Polycam from Alex.
It's a present for Ross.
So it's a nice little toy.
As if they have actually printed loads of them.
Well,
Yeah.
they were only giving them out to people who were like, I think they thought
Special.
were genuinely interested in purchasing.
Well, I'd give it
Because
to
I,
you then.
because I was saying we're looking to buy a printer in the next.
They only give
that's
them.
cool.
They only give them to people who wear sunglasses in the dark. So,
Good, I'll get one then.
So that's it. Yeah,
Straight over to me then for my now I've remembered thing.
you can finish it up. Yeah,
The DeLorean is absolutely amazing. I loved it.
Yeah.
I didn't get in it to drive it, but I did do a TikTok of it, and then I asked you to get me a Nerf of it.
Yeah.
So we've now got a Nerf and a TikTok video.
Yeah.
Shame I didn't do a Polycam really, but it looked amazing seeing that new 2023 DeLorean.
Yeah, very weird design as well. Looked very much like had some sort of like Halo vibes about the wheels and stuff.
Yeah, it
to
looked
do
like
with
that,
it. And obviously you got a rather large video that popped up on TikTok about it as well. So
Little 100,000 views
That's
on that.
probably the reason why you think it's your favourite thing of CES anyway.
probably.
It's probably paid you a little bit of pennies.
And then we did buy one over here, or you did, but these are from the UK, so this is another highlight of my little trip. It does things like this, so I'll pass it to you, Ty. This is great for 360 cam. Now everyone's mastered it a bit.
Ollie
I've struggled this whole holiday.
Ollie is just not
It's
worked
not a
out.
holiday, it's a work trip.
Aerodynamics is not Ollie's strong point. And
The
yeah.
new team toy, we need to order one for everyone in the office.
I need to
think.
get the firmware updated and then hopefully I'll
You
be able
walk
to-
into someone's
Definitely.
room, Ben, and just chuck that out and go, catch! A little bit better than a
reaction
ball.
time.
Just don't detect anybody who's actually working.
And with that, that is the end of the Rapid Capture podcast, episode 8 from Las Vegas. Thanks for sticking with us if you managed to stick with us this long. And yeah.
Everyone stays this long, right to the end.
If you'd like to see more behind the scenes, you can go and watch Alex's YouTube channel. He's got 3 subscribers. No, he's not. He's got a few more subscribers these days on his way to try to get to 1,000.
I've told you before.
He needs the viewing hours.
Yeah, I don't need the watch
You need
hours.
the viewing hours. So.
It's not about it being good or bad. It's just about being like a therapy session. Just get to chat about stuff. Yeah,
it's the reminiscing channel.
Yeah, you chat back about what you've seen and what we've had to go on and what's cool and what's crap.
Cool. Right. Laters.
Bye.
Show it the camera.
Oh, I don't want it. I don't want it.
Took it past the camera a few times. Hermitage.